Successful business leaders never stop learning. Inform your opinions at Business Desk, your deep dive into New Zealand business, the markets and the economy. Subscribe today at businessdesk.co.nz.
You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Let's go to Rugby League. Magic round in the NRL. All 8 games this weekend are being played at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, including the next one on the card, which is the Warriors up against the Panthers, the double defending champions. And off the back of a couple of losses, the Warriors, I think, will find out, or we will find out a bit about the Warriors this afternoon. Is the wind going to come out of their sails if they lose a third straight game, or can they, as they have at various times this season, punch above their weight and lower the colours of the Panthers, who actually haven't had a great season themselves? 4 wins and 4 losses so far for the double-defending Penrith Panthers. Now, Warriors captain Tohu Harris has been named in the travelling squad. He's been named in the starting side. You have to name the team, of course, on Tuesday, so that's an awfully long way away from the game itself. And just because you're named doesn't mean that you will play. And, of course, Tohu Harris has been under an injury cloud. I spoke to him on Thursday. He told me then that he was going to have a fitness test yesterday. We've just been checking in with those at Warriors HQ and still no definitive answer on whether Tohu Harris will play this afternoon. But when I spoke to him on Thursday, I think this was, I asked Tohu Harris how he balanced really wanting to play in this game with being careful not to aggravate his injury even more.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, to be honest, because it's hard to sit there and watch a game and not be a part of whatever happens on the field, not be a part of the result. And so yeah, it's really hard to balance that, like making the right call for your own body, especially if you're at risk of a longer term injury, and like balancing that with pushing through some of the niggly part of it and being able to play. So there's a fine line, and one that I'm sort of working through with the performance staff at the moment.
And just on the performance staff, how much do you rely on their advice and their medical advice, if you like, and how much do you just sort of take into account how it feels to you? Because at the end of the day, you're the only one who knows how the injury feels, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, to be honest. So, like what they can tell me the sort of risks and what's expected of the injury, and but they're constantly asking, sort of checking in each day how it's feeling, what symptoms am I feeling, and then we sort of go from there. And and being able to get through sort of training sessions and without any incidents, or without, I guess, hesitating and second guessing because of the injury, that's always a positive session. So the more of those I can do, and the longer I can go without an incident, the better off and stronger the knee will be.
All right, well, last week, obviously, you couldn't take any part in the game against the Roosters, had to watch that from the stands with everybody else. What did you pick up from watching that defeat, and what did the review of the loss throw up during the week ahead of the game this weekend?
Again, it was we had to look at all the things that we needed to improve on, and we couldn't sort of make excuses for ourselves, because we knew we had plenty of opportunities there to score points, but again, there were just little moments and little parts of each sort of key moments that we didn't quite get right, and the Roosters did. They worked out a little bit harder, and I guess we're hungrier for it. So that's something that if we want to start getting consistent results in the competition, we've got to be a bit more hungrier for it.
Consistency, it's a buzzword, isn't it? It's something I'm sure every team strives for. And when you talk about finding that consistency, is that something that you can train for? Can you train to be more consistent? Is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's consistency comes through training. It's so the efforts you want when you're fatigued, under fatigue in games and things like that. you can't do them without doing them at training. You got to sort of teach your body to push through some parts of the fatigue and I guess some parts of pain. And the more you can do that at training, the more you sort of trust yourself and trust that you can get through those parts. So it's easier to do in games. So yeah, it's 100%. You can work on that at training.
It was a great start to the season. 5 wins, Tohu, in your first 7 games. With back-to-back defeats, has any of the wind been taken out of your sails, or are you still, as a team, looking forward in a positive fashion?
Yeah, we're looking forward. We're taking each game as it comes and reviewing the game that we've just played and working on what we need to improve on and then looking forward to the next game and trying to achieve what our plan is. So it's there is another sort of balancing act there of trying not to dwell too much in the past, but you also still need to keep working on the things you're good at. So it is a balancing act and one that I think Webby and the coaches have done really well with us so far, but again, they're pushing us to continue to get better and continue to chase those results.
Let's have a look at the Panthers. They've in many ways had a similar season to you guys with the 4 wins, 4 losses. They've also had the bye, of course. What are their particular threats as you prepare to face them?
I think they've got a lot of threats on the field. They're obviously they've got Cleary and Yao, Isaiah Yao guiding the team around. Those two sort of have equal amount of, I guess, influence on the direction the Panthers go in terms of their attack, and then you've got obviously Dylan Edwards and the other the 2 wingers coming out of their back end with their yardage carries, how dangerous they are, and the quality in their forward pack. So there's a reason why they've sort of gone back to back as champions and they haven't gotten any worse. Well, I don't think so anyway. So it's certainly going to be a huge challenge for us.
It's also the first time, of course, that Andrew Webster, your new head coach in 2023, gets the chance to come up against the side where he, I guess, made his name as an assistant coach, the Panthers. Have you seen any extra spice around this week as Andrew Webster prepares to face his old club for the first time?
I know he's excited. He's trying not to overdo it and load us up with too much information because he's done a good job or him and the other coaches have done a good job at identifying the key marks that we need to hit this week. But yeah, they've been sort of bouncing around. They're really excited for this game and we're excited too. It's obviously Webby's old club, and also Masters 100. It's an important game for those 2 guys. So everyone involved just wants to put in a good performance for them.
And Magic Round, Tohu, all 8 games this weekend being played at Suncorp. There has been a bit of chat about the state of the ground and what it might look like after 7 or 8 games on it. Will it help that you're on it fairly early in the weekend? That only 2 of those other games will have been played by the time you get out there?
Yeah, absolutely. That field, it doesn't take much for it to get torn up and to be pretty slippery. So in that respect, it's better to be early. Obviously, we're coming off a short turnaround, but I think we've had a really good week and we've done all the right things to sort of prepare for this game. But yeah, playing early is definitely a positive.
Can't wait to see you out there against the Panthers. Tohu, thanks so much for taking the time for a chat. All the best to you and the boys.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.
Hello, I'm Liam Dan, Business Editor-at-Large for the New Zealand Herald, and I'm back with another season of my podcast, Money Talks. In this series, we're not going to tell you how to get rich. We're not going to try and pick the next interest rate move. Instead, I'll be talking to some interesting New Zealanders about how money has shaped their lives and what they've learned about it through the years. Join us every Saturday for a new chat with an exciting range of guests from the world of business, politics and entertainment. You can find Money Talks with me, Liam Dan, wherever you get your podcasts.